What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a stretching and mobility routine. I'm going to be showing you how to open up those hips, loosen up those hamstrings, and show you how to get into the beginning stages of doing the splits. Start simple at the top of your mat, stretching your arms above your head, kind of just getting your breathing activated, nice deep breaths, rolling our shoulders back, loosening up the neck and easing the tension on the upper back and the neck area. So let's roll back a few more times. Regular breathing, nice and smooth. Let's clasp the hands behind our back, open up the shoulders, breathe high into the chest cavity and the collarbone. If you don't have that much shoulder flexibility, you can hold your hands lower or at the base of your spine. We're going to bend our knees and waterfall forward, keeping our hands clasped and just letting the gravity just pull you forward and bicycle bend into each leg. Starting to inhale and exhale with the bend of your knees, loosening up each hamstring. If you haven't stretched and you've been sitting all day, this is probably going to feel great, but also a little uncomfortable with how tight you get from sitting. When you're ready, you can touch your hands or your fingertips to the mat and just start bending your knees, inhaling and exhaling as you bend. Now we're going to inhale and exhale as we bend and straighten the legs. Flat back, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. We're going to walk forward into our first plank and then lower our hips to a little bit of a cobra. You can have your toes curled in or the tops of your feet down. Bring your arms forward and just breathe smooth as you bend and straighten your arms and get real deep into that lower back. Make sure you're not hunching your shoulders and keep your neck nice and long. Push back into a child's pose with the knees as wide as the mat, and then come forward back to another little cobra. Push back to a child's pose again, and back to cobra. Breathe as comfortably as is for you. No special breathing pattern right now. We're going to go into some cat-cows. So you're going to exhale and then inhale, drop the back, exhale, empty everything. Inhale, look up, exhale, and inhale. So go with this breathing pattern for a bit. Inhale, exhale. Now we're going to roll the spine one way. Smooth breathing, lubricating the spine. And then we're going to switch directions. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And just keep going around. When you're ready, go back to a neutral spine and push back. And walk your hands to your feet. Slowly roll up. Head is the last thing that comes up. Stretch your arms overhead, dive forward, and we're going to walk out back into another plank. Push back into a downward facing dog. If you don't have that much stretch in your hamstrings, feel free to bend your knees. Just make sure that your shoulders are pulled back and your shoulder blades are also pulled down and back. Otherwise, straighten your legs, bring them together. We're going to lift the left leg as high as you can while keeping your hips square. Open the hips now, bend the knee, and really breathe into that hip flexor. Square back the hips, lower the left leg. Let's lift the right side. Open, bend, breathe into that right hip flexor. This is one of my favorite stretches. Square back the hips, lower that right leg. Roll your way forward into a plank. Exhale back to downward dog. Inhale to a plank. Exhale again, back to downward dog. Stretch your left arm across to your right shin, and then your right arm across to your left shin. If this is too much for you in the flexibility department, you can bend your knees and do the exact same thing. And if this is still too much and it's too much strain on your wrists or shoulders, bring your knees down and loop your arms through and hold on to the knee of the opposite leg. Just like this. And breathe into each side of your rib cage as you do that. All right, we're gonna come to the center of our mat now. Legs nice and wide, like we're gonna go into a sumo squat. We're just gonna open the hips, press the elbows and the forearms against the inner thighs or against right at the inside of your knees. If that's too much, you can bring your hands up to the top of your legs in any fashion that you want, as long as you're feeling it. Otherwise, get right down there with me and we're gonna go from side to side, no matter which modification you've decided to go with. We're just gonna rock side to side, getting a little bit of warmth in those hips. Let's widen the stance a little bit more now, and we're gonna do a lateral lunge to each side, lifting the toes of the opposite foot and sitting back so we're on our heels. You can go down and up like this if that's comfortable, or you can go up to down like a rainbow, like that. When you get back to your left side, bring your hands down. Get as low as you can, and if this is uncomfortable for your knees or you have the tendency to lift your heel of the flat foot, by all means lift your heel. You can come up a little bit higher, as I'm doing right here. Be right on the fingertips. You can use a couple yoga blocks if you have them, or books, or whatever is about a foot high or so to help you out. If you're up on yoga blocks, stay there. If you manage to get down to the ground, we're gonna really hug in that bent leg. And if you're feeling really spicy, we're gonna loop that left arm around the left leg. Stay there, or you can grab with the right and open up to the right side and just breathe into that shoulder. Breathe into the stretch on the inner right thigh. Release that, and we're gonna go over to the other side. Same thing again. If you're able to get down, turn towards that left leg. If not, get up nice and high onto your fingertips, up on the toes of the right leg, hang on to some yoga blocks and just hang out here. That's perfectly fine. Otherwise, everybody, if you're down on the ground, we're twisting towards that left leg like we twisted towards with the right. And then we're gonna turn to the front, pull that right leg in nice and close and loop that right arm around. And again, option here to grab the right arm and open up into that left shoulder while you feel that really nice stretch in the inner thighs. Coming up now to standing. We're gonna do just a basic version of a little triangle stretch. So you wanna have your feet about 2.5 to 3 feet apart. Make sure you square your hips to the front, have that back leg turned out slightly. Soft bend in the front leg and just waterfall forward, focusing on belly to leg rather than head to foot. This is what's going to keep your back nice and straight. Hang out here wherever you are. Hands are not required to be on the ground. You can be resting on your knee or holding onto your shin, wherever you need to be to feel a nice stretch. You can start to straighten that leg whenever you're ready. Step back And we're gonna go right into a pigeon stretch. This is a really, really nice one to get deep into the hip flexors and the inner thighs. It's awesome as a preliminary stretch for getting ready for splits as well. And it's one of my favorite hip openers. So wherever you are, whether you're down on your elbows or up on your hands, just make sure that that front leg is at as close to a 90-degree angle as possible, and make sure you keep your foot flexed to protect your knee. You can wiggle around here if that feels good for you. And you're gonna step back and go right into a nice downward dog. Walk your hands back to your feet, slowly stand, and then we're gonna do the other side. So same thing again, square up those hips, back leg is slightly turned out, soft bend in the front foot, and then we're just gonna fall forward, focusing on pulling our bellies to our thighs and resting your hands wherever your capabilities allow you to rest them. Straighten that leg little by little with each exhale. Surrender to this stretch, especially if you have tight hamstrings. Let's step back and set ourselves up for a pigeon stretch on the other side. Wherever you're at, just breathe into it. You know your body and you know its limits, so just do your best. Just gonna hang out here for a little bit, wiggling around, moving side to side, back and forth, whatever you need. Nice, smooth breathing. Walk yourself up. Get back into another downward dog, however you want to get there, and walk your hands back to your feet and slowly stand up with the head being the last thing that gets up there. Okay, so the next part of our mobility and flexibility routine will be, this is called a samurai walk, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm demonstrating here what you should be doing. Crisscrossing and switching each leg, and you're rolling up onto that back knee and the front foot. Really awesome for coordination. It's a good warm-up for core as well if you plan to work your core that day. Here it is from another angle so you can see what I'm doing. This is just a really good practice for working on mind-body connection, coordination, reflexes, things like that. So definitely give it a try if you can. I highly recommend it. It feels really good. And if you would rather fold the mat to get under your shin, just so you don't have like hard ground grinding against the front of your shins, by all means do that. But this has become one of my favorite little warm-up moves, especially before a core or a leg day. So take your time with it. The next thing that we're going to do is another favorite stretch of mine. It is called the frog stretch. So you can see here, I am lining up my legs at a nice 90-degree angle. I'm flexing my feet and turning them outwards. And I am just settling back to that sweet spot of discomfort, but it's manageable and I know I'm not hurting myself. So wherever you're at with that, whether you're up on your hands or down on your elbows, just breathe here, hang out here. You can put pillows or something under your knees to make it more comfortable, but this is also amazing if doing the splits is one of your goals. Hold for as long as you want. Rock back and forth. Breathe easy. And to get out of this stretch, you want to use one hand at a time, engage your core, push yourself up, and you want to crawl slowly forward. And that's how you get out of it. If you're ready to attempt your first split or continue your practice, we're going to do just a basic side split. So for a lot of people, right where I'm at right here, this will be enough for you. This is the perfect place to start for anybody who has not done any type of split before. If you are ready to go on to the next step, then let's push that back knee apart, and then maybe here's good enough for you. And if you're ready to go all the way down, slowly get yourself settled into it. You can use your fingertips, or you can use a couple of yoga blocks to support you on the way down. I didn't have yoga blocks with me, unfortunately, so I had to use my fingertips to get out of it. You can see here, this is how I get out of it, bending that back foot and using my core to pull in my front leg. For a front split, which I have not achieved yet, but this is how you can practice for it. You want to spread your legs as far as you can. I recommend holding on to something if you haven't gotten to that point where you can support yourself on your hands. Key here, wow, look at my socks falling off. Key here is to keep your knees and your toes pointing upwards in the same direction. And you just want to hang out here. As you get lower, you'll want to switch your hands around just to kind of brace and balance yourself. And to get out of it, just trust your body and fall right back onto your glutes. That was it. That was a little stretching routine for you, a little flexibility and mobility training that you can take with you into all of your workouts, especially for those leg days, or if you're doing some kind of recovery for any type of conditioning, or if you just want to be more flexible for range of motion and your own injury prevention. As always, everybody, like and subscribe if you're new here. Leave a comment below if you like this video, and I'll see you around for the next one.